Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars, where we have 6 shows, 7 days a week, with all your favorite Geek Ultimate Alliance news, whether it's DC, Marvel, Power Rangers, or Star Wars, or animated, or other. Genre. We have it all, it's the best. But y'all, we are Star Wars, and I'm Katie. We are not Star Wars. We are Star Wars Alliance. I'm your host, Katie, and with me, as per the usual, is Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
Well, today itself has kind of sucked. I went to do some errands this morning, and then on my way back home, well, not even on my way, I got in my car after I got out of the bank, and battery died.
Oh
And
no!
instead of just calling up a friend to come give me a jump because I have jumper cables in my car, um, Abby calls a part of our insurance. They have like, hey,
Yeah.
let's get somebody to jump your car. It took them an hour and 15 minutes to get to me. They were there for less than 120 seconds. And then they said, hey, you're good to go. Have a nice day. And then just drove off. And I'm like, okay. There was no assessment of the situation. There was nothing. Um, so I completely wasted away for an hour today.
Oh, that always sucks.
I like whenever I have an unplanned, like, hey, all of your plans just stop for this moment, and there's literally nothing for me to do. Um, I get really like ticked off. I don't know. It's just like my entire day feels ruined for this one moment. Um so that wasn't fun. But I did come back to be able to rewatch episodes 8 and 9 of Andor, which we will
Yes.
be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about episodes 7, 8, and 9. And Kate, I don't know if you know this. I'm pretty sure you did, because I'm pretty sure we actually have it in our GUA chat. Episodes 8 and 9 are some of the top ranked, not Star Wars, but overall TV episodes in the history of television.
I had not seen that in the chat, but I had seen that around town with just any and all social media formats. Um, and realistically, guys, I don't disagree at all whatsoever.
It was so good. We're going to be talking
These,
about these two episodes, but to know that everybody else out there
mm-hmm.
is unilaterally, I can't
Yeah,
talk to uh able to say, hey, this is good Star Wars. Love it.
this isn't just good Star Wars. This is good TV.
Yes.
Point
Yes.
blank.
Yeah.
And it is still it's not the Acolyte in terms of like a huge cast full of diversity, but we have Latino representation. It is still a vastly diverse cast. It's not just white male characters on TV. That sounded bad comparing it to the Acolyte with diversity. I'm sorry. I just meant female and LGBTQ characters,
Yes.
really.
Yes. The
But
and also again the problem that we have always had with these television shows, Andor unfortunately does have this whole lot, but the lack of aliens.
yeah.
Um Especially in Gorman, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a single. I mean, technically, everybody is going to, of course, say everybody from Gorman is an alien, blah blah blah. Like they were humanoid with human actors. There was no prosthetic actors to represent a, of course, widely known alien species within Star Wars. That's what we were always talking about. So, Katie, in these 3 episodes, we have
epic.
Yes, I was trying to point out the characters as far as character arcs that we're going to be talking about.
So
tonight.
we have Cassian, who overlaps with Dedra and Cyril.
Yep.
And then we have Will. And then we have Bix and Cassian. So realistically, y'all, we have basically in this arc, we have a setup arc, and then we have a finishing, like a middle arc, which has the main characters, but then like Mon Mothma and Bail don't appear until the last episode.
Yeah.
The whole last episode is on Coruscant, and it is the speech we knew Mon Mothma was making, and Cassian getting her to safety afterwards.
Yes.
Like, that's the gist of that episode. If you wanted the short and sweet, that's basically what it is episode 7 is set up. Episode 8 is Gorman Massacre. Episode 9 is speech.
Yeah. Do you know what's absolutely wild? I'm just going to make that statement, and then we can move forward with the actual conversations of character arcs. This could have legitimately been the end of Andor season 2, and I think I would have been absolutely satisfied. With the way that it ended, episode 9 ended with, of course, the rebellion rewiring the KX droid, and
AKA 2SO.
Yes, and like that's how it ends. And like you could take the leap from there to Rogue One.
Yep.
And I'm like,
I don't know. I would not be satisfied.
Really?
And I'm not because of Bix leaving. I don't want to jump straight into Rogue One from there.
Bix leaving, I have really big feelings about that I know are not very popular. And I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for it if anybody were to ever like genuinely try to go after me for it. But yeah, I have actually big emotions towards Bix's decision that she made on that last episode. But let's go ahead and who do you want to start with?
I would say, like, realistically, this one, I feel like you have to go episode by episode. Like, this can't just be arcs, I feel like.
Yeah. Like, I think you're right. Just because of the way that of course, Gorman Massacre takes place in episode 8. You can't just talk about it in blotches.
Yeah.
With how we're going to be talking about it with character arcs. And then leave stuff behind because we're like, oh, wait, that's somebody else's character arc. We'll talk about that later. So I think this is genuinely the one time that we may have to talk episode by episode.
Yep.
So episode 7. Episode 7 is titled The Messenger. This is when things are ramping up in Gorman. We see that Dedra is already on the planet.
Yep. She's been controlling it for like the last year and just steadily building the misinformation train. And Cyril, feel like Cyril had an affair with somebody and was like in the process of like, oh, I'm going to go break up with Dedra. But then he took too long to break up with Dedra. So somebody was like, yeah, no thanks, I don't like you anymore. And her name is Inza, which I don't blame her if that was the case. I don't at all whatsoever. I just have to say that. It really felt like Dedra and Cyril, there was something missing. Or not Dedra and Cyril. And Inza and Cyril, there was something missing in the context for that because it felt like they had built up chemistry over the missing year in this story. And so he cares about her and is like, oh, something's happening with Dedra. Dedra has not told me the whole truth.
Yeah.
But he's too scared of Dedra.
Well, for a little bit. We'll just say it.
For a little bit.
We'll just say it that way. So Cyril talks to Dedra. Dedra is saying like, hey, things are happening. Everything's gonna be so good, and we're gonna be fine. And then of course he starts to try and like question it. She grabs his face, kisses him. This is, I think, the first kiss between the two of them that we have ever seen.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is
because in the
absolutely
last arc,
wild.
Yeah, because in the last arc it was turn the lights out.
Yeah, yeah,
that was the romance.
Yeah, this she is outwardly showing, and I think this is part of the desperation that Dedra has towards Cyril. Hey, don't fuck this up for me, or hey, don't fuck this up for the Empire. Is really the idea around all of this. And she knows that she has like this hold over him in some capacity. But from there, we get little whispers in Coruscant. We have Mon Mothma for just a small sliver of time talking to the representative for Gorman. He's like, hey, like things are not looking good. I think something's about to happen. Like we need to get some things like up and running. And this is kind of just showing how that information is coming from Gorman and hitting Coruscant. But the next scene, I wanted to know how you felt about this next scene, because it is not something that we have touched upon in Andor whatsoever.
Oh, yes.
We are on Yavin. We are on Yavin, and
Cassian, Bix, and Vel have left Luthen behind. Cassian apparently still does like odd jobs here and there, but he is helping build the foundation of the rebellion on Yavin. And this is a little strange to me because we basically like I thought we were going to get Dantooine at some point, but it feels like we just kind of went straight to Yavin as the coordinated rebel base. So I would be interested to see if maybe like the Mask of Fear or Reign of the Empire, the Reign of the Empire trilogy will eventually touch on Dantooine, because of that aspect. Like I felt like it's mentioned so prevalently in A New Hope, you would have wanted to hit that.
I would really hope so, yeah, because the fact that like she, of course, she being Leia, blurts it out to Tarkin. The idea is that they did have it, and then it moved to Yavin because of the fact that they were afraid that, hey, something might happen. I think there's, leaks, getting towards us and everything, so they moved it to Yavin. I do want to say, since we're talking about the rebellion as a whole, kind of, I want to make the small comment of when Mon Mothma is first seen in this episode. She's getting out of the vehicle with her driver, and her driver is asking about her schedule. When this first happened, I was like, oh no. Time to get a new driver. And then she legitimately says, oh, I need to get a new driver. I like how Mon Mothma is not in the thick of it, but she understands the things to look out for.
Yeah. And I really like how Inzin in that same scene was like, nah, the next one they send us might be smart. Like, that made me laugh so hard. Because especially with how he ends up in the last episode, like it just kind of played out the whole way.
Yeah. But the scene that we were going to talk about, Bix and Cassian get a little bit closer to the actual base in on Yavin, because they have like the small little hut that is their like home, and then like closer, of course, is the base. They are going to have Cassian's shoulder looked at. He heard it in some sort of way, and
he thinks he's going to a meeting.
Yes. Whereas Bix has tricked him into meeting with a Force healer. And he even mentions it. He says, I hate Force healers. You know, they get into the small little like bickering thing. And immediately, the woman that is in question, that we see her kind of in the background, she stops what she's doing and she immediately turns to Cassian. And this was kind of a really odd and interesting interaction.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this? Acknowledging, of course, this big thing that is the Force within this universe. You know, I feel like it needed to be addressed in some sort of capacity. We've heard people say throughout this season and last season, may the Force be with you. But like, we've never touched on anybody being Force sensitive. Yeah. So how did you feel about actually having a Force sensitive individual in this season?
I thought it was neat. I thought it was a little strange because I feel like from what we've learned over all of the Empire era fiction stories that have been told, comics, TV, otherwise kind of thing, the Empire is always looking for Force users. So I felt like if Cassian knew enough about what a Force healer was, I felt like the Empire would have been more interested in them. So I would love to delve into this aspect because we know like the Force is used for healing, but there's never really, I don't really recall there ever being like a Force healer sect where all they did was heal kind of thing. Like on Jeddah in the High Republic.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I think for the most part, when talking about special categorized individuals that are Force users, a lot of that stuff was always, of course, in Legends and in video games and things like that. There was never a real prominent discussion in any canon novels or movies or anything else that really touched on things like that. The only thing we ever heard is, of course, using the Force for defensive reasonings, and they use the Force to meditate. Like, that's really all we ever heard until we saw, of course, that one episode of The Mandalorian, because it was coinciding with what we would eventually see in The Rise of Skywalker.
Correct. So to have a Force healer in Andor, I feel like it makes the most sense as a Force representation in this story because it's a necessary thing. It's not super fiction-y because it's just like another form of doctor, basically. Like, so I liked this connection where, and you don't have to be super showy with it either because it's healing. So there can be no physical that's the wrong way to phrase it, because Cassian's looking for a blaster burn heal, which is physical, but it's like you don't see like telekinesis on screen with it. It's very spiritual, it's very connecting, it's a different type of force using, which feels more down to earth versus fantasy, is what I'm trying to say. So I really thought it was a good connection to the fantasy elements of the show. It reminds you that, hey, we are connected to a galaxy far, far away. Because a lot of people, that was their biggest critique with season 1, is like, oh, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. But now that you have this element here, will people then say, oh, okay, we do have that force connection, so we're good now?
Yeah. Andrew Haley is actually in the chat. He just says, episodes 7 through 9 of Andor season 2 are truly some of the best TV episodes I've ever seen. A masterclass in storytelling. Amen. Yes, it is. And I do want to mention, in this conversation with the Force healer, after the healer does what she needs to do, Cassian walks away. And they have a small discussion, they being the healer and Bix. This is a very important conversation for what's going to be happening at the end of episode 9. I don't like it, but it is what it is. This conversation is basically the healer tells Bix that Cassian is a messenger, aka the title of the episode. And this,
and she Bix, also, the Force healer also asks, "Who are you?" to Cassian, which is the title of episode 8.
Yes, which didn't dawn on me. And then, of course, the question was asked again in episode 8, which feels a lot more relevant. But yeah, the conversation with that is gonna weigh heavy on Bix, and you can already tell in the middle of the conversation, Bix's emotions are you can, everything is written on her face. You could really tell how she is feeling through this entire conversation. So from there, we get to see the arrival of, what was this team called at Gorman? With you said his name in text.
Will?
No, not Will. It was the Imperial.
He's irrelevant, basically. He's there. He's leading a team. I can't find his name in text, but he's leading a team of basically green trainees from Imperial academies. And as soon as they came on screen, my first thought was, hey, they're cannon fodder.
Bloy was his name.
That's Bloy. It. Bloy the actor for Bloy sounds a heck of a lot like Andy Serkis. In the Narkina episodes. Mm-hmm. I literally, because I kept missing his face for some reason. I would look away or was looking somewhere else on the screen, and I was like, that can't be Andy Serkis. Like, why would Andy end up as a soldier in the Imperial Army? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it wasn't, by the way, but I was stuck on that for a hot minute. I was like, that's Andy Serkis. It's not Andy Serkis. But anyways, so yeah, as soon as they came on screen with that team, I was like, they're cannon fodder. Like, they're making a point to talk about how they're like very green trainees, like fresh out of the academy, like have no business being on the hot center of Imperial, like, they don't call it warfare, but warfare in this instance, like on like a battlefront. Like, they need to be on the back of the lines learning, and Dedra and the commander who gets involved as like the pull, he is the trigger that Dedra is pulling. He's like, no,
Mhm.
they're perfect. Like, I got this. I was like, cannon fodder. And yes, they were cannon fodder. I just have to go ahead and say that. But then
the end of the episode is literally just Will and Cassian have arrived on Gorman. They
because
are
Will shows up on Yavin and is like, come with me. I need you to help me with Gorman. Dedra's there. You will shoot Dedra and you will kill her. Like, kind of thing. Like, and he brings up Ferrix. It's the first time we've heard Ferrix really mentioned, I feel like. But Will is like, you will kill her because for Ferrix, like Stone and Sky. And like, so I having that brought up makes me miss Ferrix more, and I feel like there could have been more mentions potentially. But you also killed off Brazo in the first arc, so maybe not. But yes, so Will takes off with Cassian, and Cassian has to it's not Dodonna, but it's, oh gosh, what's the other general's name? It's the Spy Master General, who is not Dodonna. Oh gosh, this is gonna bug me. I'm gonna have to look it up. But he blows off the general who is his boss in Rogue One.
I am looking it up now and I can't see it. Oh, are we thinking the same person here? Let me.
Oh gosh, Clay's gonna have to edit this later. Draven is his
Yes,
name.
yes.
So yeah, Draven, he blows off Draven. And is like, yeah, well, you're not like taking role yet, or like you're not fully in charge of me. This is still volunteer kind of thing. And that is the other conversation that happens with Bix. Is Vel comes to Bix while Cassian has taken off to Gorman, and Vel is like, we don't owe Luthen anything. Cassian is needed here. They want to promote him. They want to bring him into the loop. Like, he is a founding member, like basically begging Bix, like, hey, we need Cassian to be here. And that is, I think, like like the Force healer was one thing, but Bel's conversation with Bix is the catalyst for what happens at the end of episode 9.
Still don't like it. And I will have my case. I'm just gonna
We're gonna get there.
I'm gonna sit and fester in hate for a little bit. Okay.
I think that's everything out of episode 7, though. And maybe bits and pieces of episode 8. But
yes, but we do one thing to note in the ending of episode 7, because somebody who I thought was a nobody character comes back. And that
yes,
the doorman, the
bellhop originally.
Yeah. At the Gorman Hotel. He mentions to Cassian, because Cassian just says something very nonchalant to the people at the front desk, and he tells Cassian, like, she's serious. She will check you in.
Yep, because Cassian comes in as a reporter.
Yeah.
And that's his disguise this time. And all reporters have to be reported to the Empire.
Yeah. And she leaves the front desk, and the bellhop gives the key to Cassian, and he says, you know which door it is. And he just hands. And my question to you is, this was never mentioned. I do not believe that this individual is a part of the Gorman rebellion officially.
Mm-mm.
He is just a Gorman citizen who legitimately still recognized Cassian from the first time he came to Gorman.
Yes.
Which is like, for one, yikes, Cassian, you need to be more careful. But two, like, thank God the right people stayed in the right job, you know? Is really the situation there.
I'm responding to Andrew because I don't want us to
Yes.
get off topic.
Yes. So Andrew, we will acknowledge that a little bit after. And I would even be more up for that being a topic of discussion for after Andor season 2 is over.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a discussion in regards to, hey, look what we got and look what we could have had type of thing. So we will definitely be talking about it.
Especially when you've already had a Cassian K2SO meetup in comic form.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, another topic. But
yeah. But
episode 8.
Episode
or
8.
No, the bellhop. Did you want to keep talking about the bellhop?
Well, just the bellhop for the fact that, like I said, he is just some random citizen who still recognized Cassian. I think that is, for one, kind of scary for Cassian's part. Like,
right?
Hey, if this was the wrong type of person, you could have definitely been caught.
It's exactly the conversation that he had with Enza. Like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. But he got lucky. But episode 8.
Does he say rebellions are built on hope in episode 7 or episode 8?
8.
Okay.
He says it in episode 8. No. It's I liked I saw that somebody else had posted, and we could talk about that because we're talking about episode 8. He does mention to Cassian, because Cassian is walking down to the growing crowd in the plaza.
In the plaza.
And he tells the bellhop, hey, I hope everything works out for you. And he tells Cassian, rebellions are built off hope. And I saw somebody post on Threads how the simple word of mouth can be such a strong thing to eventually get to the right people. And it literally shows every single time it has been said. So it was the bellhop to Cassian, Cassian to Jin, and then Jin to the rebellion on Yavin.
Yep.
Which I thought was really cool. And
like, also just going back to publishing took that, I can't remember who the author was in the story, but Tom, Darth Internus, pointed it out on his social media page. But he, like, the author there wrote about a journalist who was there when Jin said rebellions are built on hope, and kind of took that and ran with it as the promo for the rebellion propaganda, because everything publicity wise is like propaganda for one thing or another, guys. But took that and ran with it and like spread it out to the galaxy. So I love that connection where a game of telephone actually works out for the benefit of everybody.
Yeah. I like that a lot. But in episode 8, we see a crowd gathering. The reasoning for this crowd gathering is because there are rumors spreading all across Gorman about so many different things.
They're dropping the mining equipment because they have not found a synthetic element that substitutes for, I think it's calicite, on Gorman. And so Patergaz in episode 7, I forgot about this part, Patergaz tells Dedra, hey, mission is go. Like, commence firing, basically. And so episode 8, the Gormans figure out what's going on, but then also the Imperials start clearing the plaza and basically set up a defensive barricade around the Imperial building that Cyril kind of it's the same building that Cyril was going to work in the second arc, but it's now been taken over by ISB. So that building is being set up as like a defensive perimeter, and the Gormans are like, they're abandoning the plaza, protest time. And the writer guy's father, who was like, we must rebel in the second arc, he's like, this is a trap. Like, we need to like peacefully protest. We cannot do
the
anything.
Writing on the wall. Exactly. Yeah.
But all of the young people are like, no, we take weapons, we go to fight. And it really wouldn't have mattered either way unless the Gormans just didn't show up that day. But again, it's like you appeal to one side, you're going to get protests in the other. And this is like the evil side of not evil side of Star Wars, but this is like the Empire. So they're going to like do everything in their power to get the propaganda to look their way, and the press to look their way. Real world stuff or not. Feels too close to home here. So the Gormans start to gather. Cassian has, like we talked about, Cassian has gone to the plaza, so that way, because he was going to take a shot from his balcony, he can't get a clear shot from his balcony, and is like, okay, maybe in the crowd, like see what's going on, but also get a better shot at Dedra. So he's in the crowd. He doesn't really play a huge role until the fight breaks out. Once he gets down to the plaza. Would you agree, disagree here?
For Cassian?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he does not play a huge part in what is the
gathering
protest.
Of the plaza. Yeah.
Of the protest. He is simply a onlooker. He is literally just seeing everything happen. Now, of course, he is still worried about Will. He is also, by the way, again, I just have to say this once more. F Will. F him. This man, this might get me in trouble even for Katie. No woman is that important. I'm sorry. Like he finds a woman on every goddamn planet. Like it's
I don't get it at all whatsoever. Like there comes a point where like, okay, save yourself, and like it's not romantic in the slightest. Like,
but I think it's supposed to be shown as romantic. That's the thing.
Right. And like it's not when literally anyone and everyone is being shot at. Like, and Will somehow manages to survive. We see him in the end of episode 9. But he does the dumbest stuff. And he clearly has also been huffing Rhydonium. Because the dude
he looks
bad. He's got bags. His eyes look bloodshot. Like, the dude looks awful.
I don't think he survives the next arc.
I hope not. Is that sad?
I hope so. So let me reframe that. I hope he does not survive the last arc. To leave the window open for Will to be alive during Rogue One, and we know that Andor doesn't survive, like that would just piss me off.
Okay,
that would genuinely piss me off.
But I also saw a theory, and we may need to go ahead and talk about this theory. I saw a theory that said Will is the informant that Cassian shoots at the beginning of Rogue One.
No. No. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, but
Because
no.
it's a Saw informant, right? Like, it's a Saw guy. And the thought process is that because Saw and Mon Mothma's rebels have not split at this moment.
Yeah.
They don't split until 1 BBY, which is the next arc.
Yeah.
My thought process is that Luthen and Saw end up together, and Cassian and Mon are in that group. So in this last arc,
I do believe that's going to happen, because I am pretty sure in some trailers, I am pretty sure we have seen Luthen and Saw scenes, but we haven't legitimately seen them here in this season. Because Luthen never met up with Saw in season 1, right?
no, he did.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what
Okay.
the photos I've been seeing were from. Okay.
Okay. So here, where is it? Is this tab? This is the informant.
Oh.
And guys, if you're listening, I'm showing Clay a picture of Cassian with the informant in Rogue One.
Will has just a couple a couple years with no athletic ability and gains a few pounds. That's Will right there. I could see it. Now that you say it, now I could see it.
I saw that theory. Is not my theory. Somebody pointed it out, because again, I'm not the Easter eggs person at all whatsoever. I believe it. Seeing that photo, like, is wild.
I could see that happening though. But yeah, just to say, like, F Will. Because Cassian is like talking to him on an earpiece and trying to get a hold of him, because he knows something's going to go down, and so he wants to get his friend out of there as soon as possible. And we see Zero go into the building, and they immediately tell him, "Hey, you're cleared, but you're not cleared to go upstairs. You're going to have to wait in this room." And he waits with the KX droids with several other people in that room as well. We eventually see him get out of that room to talk to Dedra. And he's like, "Hey, what the hell is going on?" And this is when we see a side of Cyril that I don't think I was ever going to see. I did not think Cyril had the balls to ever do anything like this.
Yeah.
He is genuinely agitated, because he does tell, and I can't remember the father's name, to everybody.
Ryder Gaz. Father Ryder Gaz. Yes.
He confronted Cyril right before the gathering. And he's like, "This is a trap. You're going to kill us all, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "This was only supposed to be for outside agitators, to bring them in. And then this was a trap for them." That's all he was told by Dedra, by the ISB, by the Empire. And so he tells Dedra, like, "This is what we were supposed to be doing. What is this? What have you been planning all along? And how long have you known about this?"
And she says, "You didn't complain about all the promotions."
But that was after he had the audacity, strength, if you will, his reaction to her trying to just throw it to the wall and be like, hey, this is nothing. He grabs her neck and chokes her and pulls her in really close. And he says, if you lie to me, like he legitimately threatens Dedra. This is a side I never would have seen.
And this is why I think he fell in love with Enza, but was too scared to break up with Dedra. And so Enza breaks up with him, which is why they're conflicted in episode 7.
I'm so upset. Because there's a part in here that I've heard a lot of people kind of argue about, and we'll get there eventually. But he simply walks away. He walks away from Dedra because Dedra said, oh, this is what's going to happen. They need this mineral, blah, 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 blah. And
we're going to go back to Coruscant as heroes.
Yeah. And that's when he says, I'm not okay with this. And that's when she said, oh, well, you didn't, mind the promotions. And in my mind, I'm like, he didn't mind the promotions because those promotions were given. Those promotions were given under false pretense. Like he was getting a promotion literally to hide the guise of what y'all are actually going to be doing to Gorman.
And now I say this as like somebody who didn't like Cyril. I still don't think he's a worthy, he's a good character. But I think he's still a bad character at the end of the day. But I hate this for him.
No, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, okay? I want to go ahead and talk about his arc real quick. Because guess what? His arc is not very long after this. Okay. Spoilers.
He leaves the building.
He leaves the building. Immense chaos ensues. Shots are fired. We will talk about that more in detail because I have a little bit of a experiment that I actually ran while watching this. There are shots being fired from every direction. This man somehow is missed by every shot in every direction, does not get grazed, touched, anything the entire time. And amidst all the chaos, he looks to one side and he sees Andor. He sees Cassian. And we see Cassian line up a shot to Dedra. And I'm like, bro, everything's about to be fixed. You're good to go. You see what Cassian is doing? Walk away.
He says, that's my woman, basically.
And he tackles Cassian. They get into this very intense fight, by the way. Very intense. Very close hand-to-hand
combat. In him.
Yeah, this is a whole, we are seeing a very angry side to Cyril. And I've heard some people kind of discuss why he went ahead and attacked Cassian. I want to know, in your opinion, why do you think he attacked Cassian?
Because I just watched an episode of something where the mom of a serial killer lets the person they have captured go because they were she likes the kid and is like, you're gonna get married, blah 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 blah. But then the son comes home and the cop fights the son, and then the mom injects him with a lethal dose of morphine. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's my son. And that's basically what this is Cyril is like, that's my woman. And I hate her at the moment, but that's still my woman. That's basically what it says. Also, but he killed the Morlana 1 cops 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people that are just like, regardless of what he thinks about Dedra, this man is still a man of law, is still a man that is like, that was his whole thing, is like, hey, he didn't really understand the full extent, and maybe he did and then played dumb, of what Gorman was, attempting to do as far as the rebellion goes. But his whole purpose was to get outside agitators. That is still something that the Empire saw as illegal and was wanting to bring those people to justice. He is still a man of law.
Cyril is, in essence, the person who is like, oh, but this isn't affecting me. And there are people who are, in fact, breaking the law. So we must uphold those people to the law. But that doesn't mean, like, we should bend the law to make other people, like what's happening right now with immigration.
Exactly.
Basically. And then he realizes, hey, I've helped bend the law to get everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, after hearing those arguments, I was like, okay. But there was a part of me, because I don't believe he would have been this like, oh, I'm on the side of the rebellion now. Because again, a man of law. But what I did genuinely want was for him to be able to walk away. He now learned that the Empire of the Galaxy is the corrupt one.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to just be like, fuck it, I can't do this anymore, and walk away. That's what I hoped for. But what I got instead was a huge hand-to-hand fist fight with Cassian. And then Cassian looks him straight in the eye. It says, who are you? And it fucking blew my mind to then realize, holy shit, hold on a second. These two have never met before. This is so good. This is so good, because the face that Cyril makes immediately after that comment, if it wasn't for the shot in the head, I think Cyril would have dropped the gun. I don't think he would have had it in him to kill Cassian after that. Because the fact that the man that he has been chasing for years has no idea you are an insignificant fly on the wall.
You don't matter to me. Like,
you don't matter in the big scheme of this intergalactic chess game that we're all playing. You're just a nobody. And I think Cyril knew it the moment he said it. He lowered the gun before anything else could happen. The other leader of the rebellion in Gorman pop, shoots him right in the back of the head.
And this shot is also why I think that he had a thing with Enza, and the father was really pissed off about that.
Oh, no. I think the father was so pissed about this trap that took place that he's like, hey, you were one of the top people responsible for this, so you deserve this no matter what. But I want to talk about the Gorman massacre. Katie.
Which, before you ask the question, I just want to point out, they had 350 extras on set for this, all in costume. The shots in this episode, cinematography-wise, are so impressive. Like, realistically, the whole arc. Like, everything looks beautiful. I keep saying this with the arcs that we're covering, but, like, to have that many people on set is, like, unheard of these days. On camera. Like,
yeah.
Props to Tony Gilroy and the production staff for making sure that this looked legit as possible. So I just wanted to make sure we said that.
The fun little fact that I had, it's not really fun, it's very intense. The moment the first shot is fired to the moment of the last cry for help, 14 minutes, 23 seconds, 58 milliseconds, with literally 0 breaks. Mm-hmm. There is no cut to Coruscant. There is no cut to a quiet scene with Dedra. There is no scene with Luthen. It is all the Gorman massacre for 14 straight minutes.
Yep.
This is a very intense scene. It was hard for me to watch the first time. Because of how long. I thought that there was going to be cuts to like a scene with Dedra, a quieter scene, but no. Every cut, you can see people getting blasted in the background. You could hear shots being fired. You can hear people screaming and calling for help.
Mm-hmm.
Every single shot, from the first moment to the last cry for help, 14 minutes, 23 seconds.
And it feels long, but not in like a bad way of like, oh, this is dragging on. Your attention is held on that entire almost 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's heartbreaking to watch, but it's meant to hold your attention and to really capture that so you know exactly what the heck is going on. And you are the witness, basically, at the end of it. Like, Cassian saw all of it, and you are basically Cassian in this.
Yeah. Also, by the way, people just want to not fearmonger or anything else. This is a peaceful protest, by the way. Nothing illegal happening. And the shooting was the government killing one of its own to then provoke a wild massacre.
Yep.
Just so everybody's aware. There is no hiding this. There is no, oh, but this happened. No. This is what happened. And with how things are looking in the real world, this is getting more and more terrifying. This is no more Star Wars. This is more like Earth Wars. But we move on to episode 9. Well, one thing I will say, 2 things I will say for episode 8, the ending of episode 8. Cassian and Will found each other. They were escaping.
Will runs off to get to his girl.
Well, they were escaping until a KX droid basically was slaughtering people down the road, and they tried to help. And Sam, the individual who ended up killing Cinta, actually saves Cassian by ramming into the KX droid, destroying it.
I literally was like, at least he's good for something.
I was gonna say, this does not take away from that moment, but there is a bit of redemption there. And again, Will running off to see this girl she's the one broadcasting to all of Gorman and to anybody out there as a distress call, let it be known the Empire is murdering all of us for no reason. Mm-hmm. And that's what this episode nearly ends on. We also learn that no, Darth Vader did not make an appearance in this season.
No, thankfully.
The scene in which was questioned when Dedra was, grabbing her collar and everything else. Guys, these Imperial outfits are very tight. They have a very high collar.
She's having a panic attack.
She was having a very big panic attack. You see the symptoms. Her leg is shaking. Her hand is shaking. Her whole entire arm starts to shake, and she stops it. She has a little bit of a choking fit. And then the only thing to get her somewhat composed is she is like trying to straighten out her jacket and like is rubbing her hands on her thighs. And we see that even the most despicable people, I hope we see her death next arc, can have these types of reactions to such a massacre.
And Adrian said it on Threads, and I'm going to say it here. That does not mean she's worthy of redemption. You can have panic attacks as a very bad person.
Yes, 100%. Which is why I said
deserve redemption.
Which is why I said I hope we see her death in the next arc, because she isn't a good person, and to a point, neither was Cyril. Like there was there's a bit of a like, hey, there was probably a moment where he was going to learn, but then boom, got blasted. No, he had no time for a redemption arc.
Correct.
But the last scene we do see is Cyril's mom watching the broadcast and not knowing what happened to her son.
I really thought that she already knew.
You think so?
Yeah, because, and I mean, I guess people can like come and like support you if you don't know what's going on. But the way she was crying made me feel like she already knew.
There's a possibility of that because the broadcast was in the plaza, which was very clean, by the way.
Yeah, it takes place the day after. Because they say like, oh, we're rounding up bodies, we're figuring out what happened yesterday, the death toll will continue to rise, blah 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 blah. Yep. So, and Cyril wasn't in like a bomb explosion. Like his body would be very easy to recognize, and especially having his girlfriend on staff to identify the body.
Yep.
Also, can you hear the fireworks that are going on apparently right next door?
Nope.
Okay, cool. I just needed to check.
You're good.
So yeah, this was a very thought-provoking episode. There's a lot of heartbreaking moments, really good action shots, really good music. 10 out of 10. No complaints. Like
no complaints, no notes. This was a very good episode of television.
Now, I could like be like a real asshole and be like, but it didn't make me smile. No, like that wasn't the point of this episode. In case you're that type of person, this is like, don't watch this if you're looking for something happy.
Yeah, no,
at the end of the day.
Guys, everybody who listens to this show knows that I am always looking for my happy ending in Star Wars. This is not it, okay? This is not it. Neither is episode 9 that we're going to talk about 9. So episode 9 is titled Welcome to the Rebellion. Which I think it is a little silly and gimmicky, but very appropriate sometimes, that the fact that every single episode is titled something that is actually legitimately said in the episode itself. Katie, how did you feel about the approach to this episode? We see the news of Gorman is affecting Coruscant in a very big way, right? And of course, that means big things for, of course, the people who were secretly attached to the rebellion, that being Mon Mothma, that being Bail Organa, all of this other stuff. So walk us through a little bit of your thought process watching this episode.
This is another episode that keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it's for political reasons this time, in not necessarily action entirely, even though you do get action in this episode. It's conversational action more of than anything, because you see the, like, Mon Mothma is planned to be the person who goes out, because Bail could have given the speech theoretically and been the one to escape, but Mon Mothma has been the one, and we see this in Reign of the Empire. Mon Mothma has been the one pissing everybody off and like towing the line. Bail is supportive behind the scenes in getting things done and opening doors for Mon Mothma to say the things that need to be said. But there always has to be that doorway that you are able to go through, because if you're just a blunt person who wants to like say things, you're never gonna, you have to have those connections to make sure you're able to speak out in the open. And this is what happens in this episode, because we see the ISB guy, not Pattergaz, but another supervisor who works with Dedra. He's basically like, yeah, we're going to have a Senate meeting, but like we have a very strict agenda. Nobody's getting into this discussion if you're not on the agenda already. And we see like Mon Mothma has a plan. She's been building the connections. Bail has also been building the connections to make sure that this speech gets to be said, to build up that support for the rebellion, to light that spark. And so that's what this episode is Mon Mothma is planning her speech, which she gets to write in 24 hours.
It's Supervisor Legret.
You can see how much he regrets with his hair. Sorry, had to say it. So Mon Mothma has less than 24 hours to prep her speech, which she's prepping with her cousin assistant Ensign, who we then proceed to find out has been hired by Luthen, and has been working for him since the wedding.
I immediately hear the voice of the wife in Mrs. Doubtfire the whole time. I really like this reveal because again, it touches on the biggest thing that is going on in Mon's life, in her life in Coruscant, is immense paranoia. Because Ensign ends up finding a bug.
Yep.
And not a crawly bug, a listening bug, a listening device within Mon's office. She immediately proceeds to destroy it. And
you said the Mrs. Doubtfire quote. This is I don't know. There's like this thing that I grew up with where we would always, when we were complaining about something, we would say, you pack that in a box, and then you pack that in a box, and then you smash it with a hammer. And that's what I got out of that. I just had to share that. There's a lot more pack it in boxes, but that's too long for a podcast.
She proceeds to tell Ensign, hey, I need to practice this speech. And this is when we, like you said, have the conversation with Luthen, the reveal of Ensign. She feels betrayed, all of these other things.
Luthen also tells her, hey, Bail's team is not to be trusted.
How did you feel about this? Did you believe him?
I did believe him, because I feel like at the end of the day, they need Mon Mothma to be the voice, because Bail isn't ready for that yet. And so Luthen has only ever wanted to protect Mon in a sick way. Don't get me wrong, it's a sick way.
Yeah.
But his main goal is to keep Mon Mothma alive.
I genuinely thought he was being a little overprotective. And I was like, he's gonna screw this up. And this is what's going to legitimately like tear apart the Luthen Saw rebellion factions. Is this right here? That's what I genuinely felt. The way he was just emphasizing it, I was like, I don't know. This feels a little off. And again, like we even hear in the episode, like because later on, Mon talks to Bale and he mentions it, and she's like, "Do you know them?" He's like, "No, like that's too dangerous. I could never have direct contact with them." And so she gets paranoid again. Like I feel for Mon so much as an individual.
Because you were betraying everything you have known. Like she says it at some point this season. Maybe it was these episodes, but she's like, I have been in this Senate for more than half my life. I know you people. You are my colleagues, my enemies, my allies. Like, but I know you people. Yeah. And now she is turning against every single one of them, and she doesn't know who to trust. Because at the end of the day, this is her life.
Yeah.
And it's also the life of her husband and child, who were not mentioned in this arc whatsoever. And apparently there was potentially a deleted scene that had her talking to them.
Yes, and that'll be along with the discussion after season 2. Same thing with what Andrew had discussed earlier.
All right, Andrew, I'm sorry. But yes,
we
that's a good
we'll be talking about it because there has been enough discussion, I think, of those types of things. When watching this episode, I did notice a very cheeky thing that they did with the camera work. When we see the representative for Gorman screaming out and saying, you know, Gorman was wrong, was wrongfully murdered, and like all of these different things, he does make a statement. Gorman today, your planet will be next. It'll be you in this spot next time. And the camera cuts to Bail Organa.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely think this was intentional.
It was intentional.
For overshadowing of course, him and the death of his planet in A New Hope.
Yep. 100%.
I thought that was very tongue-in-cheek, very subtle type of thing. But we do.
But it's always something that's said, right? Is like, hey, they will come for you next, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's Tony Gilroy and I think it was Janusz Metz, who directed these episodes, but it's them playing with the fact that we already know what happens in the future.
Yeah.
Whereas if Andor had come out first and we had never seen A New Hope and we were building to A New Hope, like this would be like, ooh, is Alderaan next? Kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Yeah. But after that, we get these scenes with Cassian and Clea. And Cassian is basically letting her know, like, hey, like, after this, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And she even says, like, what does that mean? Like, you're done. Like, that could mean a lot of things. What does it necessarily mean?
It does mean you're done with me? You're done with Luthen? You're done with the rebellion? Like, what does that mean?
It's a very open statement. But he does say it. He says, haven't I done enough? Mm-hmm. Like, what, like, when have I never not come through? Like, when have I ever been a disappointment to what these operations are, right? So like these conversations are supposed to be very thought-provoking for the audience. It's like, okay, there's the weight of the galaxy is literally on Cassian's shoulders right now. And with what he just went through with Gorman, I would want out too.
Yep.
You just survived a complete massacre. I would say, hey, I was lucky. I don't want to be lucky again.
Yep.
I want to live. I want to live a life.
And I feel like he does. Does he talk about luck in this? Or is that another show that I've been watching? It's probably another show that I've been watching.
I don't remember anything specific in this last episode.
I've been watching firefighter shows, and so there's a lot of talk about luck and everything, especially if you've been following 911 with one of the actors die, not actors, but characters dying in that. Yeah, sorry.
But after this conversation, this is when we see a conversation the next day when Mon is getting ready for her speech. They have the conversation. She has a conversation with Bail. He says he said something that I think a lot of people were like, oh, right there. I literally paused it at the right time. He says, tear the shit out of this place. Guys, Bail Organa is not only a representative of Alderaan, he is a husband. He is a daughter. He is a father to a daughter who has at this point been a little bit of a little shit. Because I just read that book, by the way.
Isn't it so good though?
It's so good. This dude, and he is one of the pillars of the rebellion. This stuff that you see him during his moments at the Senate, these are all formalities. It's the same as you whenever you put on a face and a smile at your job. It's okay for him to cuss, guys. And people were saying, man, could you imagine if Dave Filoni had written this episode? Tear the panther voodoo off of this place. Like saying something really stupid and stuff like that. I'm like, don't get me started. After giving me Mandalorian season 3 finale, don't talk to me about Filoni directing something like this. Never, ever again. Stop it.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Internet, you are way too much. Way too much.
You got tears out of me.
Again, a discussion for another time. I have seen enough with what Travis and the Geekverse guys have been talking about in the Andor spoiler chat, that I think there is a legitimate conversation about Lucasfilm, what we could have had, what we couldn't, what we didn't have, all this other stuff. But we're getting down to the really gritty parts of this episode. We see Inza and Cassian meet. We see the Senate is actually ramping up to this moment, because there's going to be a moment where Bail Organa is like, hey, there's a statute in this one act that, if so many dominoes fall with this, perfect moment, then we're able to enact this.
He pulls the legalese out.
Yes.
And is because the other thing is, again, all about building your connections. You cannot be a blunt person and say what you want to say in a professional environment without having those connections. Because basically 3 senators feed their time to Bail in this instance. And then
Yeah.
Bail pulls out the legalese to feed it to Mon Mothma, because you know for a fact that if it had been those senators yielding their time to Mon Mothma, the supervisor would have come out and been like, nah, this ain't gonna fly. Bail had to pull out the legalese to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's why you need Bail in this episode. Like, that's why the recast had to happen, is because you need Bail in this, because Mon doesn't have another friend in the Senate in this instance who can do that, who can spend the time in the documentation, because there's thousands of planets in the Empire, guys. Like, just imagine the rule book for that. Like, our rule book is a government in the US is already insane enough. Like, so it had to happen. And I think Benjamin Bratt does an incredible job.
Yes. For the small amount of time that he is on screen, he plays his role well. He gets the job done. What we do see is Bail's exit team for Mon.
Mm-hmm.
They all arrive separately, but then they all meet together and they're like, hey, you guys got the plans? Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Let's initiate it. Let's go. And one individual goes off, and then the two go together. We see them go in some sort of like downstairs, like warehouse
like
closet. Yeah, like some sort of like armory, warehouse closet, whatever, for this chamber, for the Senate chamber. And one of them, we find out, is an ISB informant. So
ISB
Luthen was correct.
Not just informant.
Yeah, she is ISB. And we find out that Luthen is, in fact, was correct in his assumptions and his word that got back to him. So then we start to see everybody panic. And when I say everybody panic, I mean the Empire. The Empire is like, oh shit, we can see where this is going. Mon is not allowed to be heard. Mm-hmm. Shut it down quick.
And this is where you get all of the little acts of rebellion that were
very subtle, very
subtle, and all following the letter of the law.
Yeah.
Where you literally, ISB can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
Unless they want to be seen breaking the law.
Yeah. There's like apparently just due to the rules of the Senate chamber, like this door is supposed to be locked and this, that, and the other. And like the key is actually supposed to be put away the day prior so that way nobody deals with it. And so this dude, who is basically the eyes and ears on the floor for ISB, is like running around the entire place, which I actually thought was really, really funny. Which again, guys, there can be small pockets of these little moments of humor, which is totally fine for Star Wars. Thankfully, they were able to do it very subtly and didn't ruin, quote unquote, the moment, as people say. Then we get the speech. The speech goes off with a bang. For Mon, you can tell the anxiety that she has. And like for a moment, I was like, oh God, they're just leaving her in the center of the floor. They're not moving her chair back. Because it literally looks like she's not moving. But it's literally, and I think they do it on purpose. I think this is genuinely on purpose. Because we as the audience are holding our breath. What's going to happen next? What's going on? We know Mana survives, but we don't know what happens in this moment. What's going on? And this is how she is feeling. She's feeling stuck. She's feeling alone. She's feeling like nobody's there to help. And then finally, when she does open the door, Cassian is right there. And he tells her, hey, I was in Gorman. I was in Gorman yesterday. We need to talk. And she's like, no, I can't talk right now. I can't.
She's still going with I'm going with Bail's team. I think that's the decision she's made here.
Yeah. But what makes her pause is he says, "I have friends everywhere," which is the key phrase that Luthen likes to use, because this isn't the first arc that we've heard it. We've heard it being said multiple times throughout the season. So when this happens, Mon knows, okay, this is Luthen's guy. He will protect me in some sort of capacity.
Because Mon was supposed to say, "Are you alone?" And Cassian was supposed to respond, "I have friends everywhere." But when she runs into Cassian, she's like, "Okay, I'm not even going to ask because I'm going with Bale's team." And so then Cassian's kind of forced to say the code phrase on his own after saying like all his stuff. And I think she still gets to a point in the elevator where she's like, do I really want to go with Luthen's guy or can I go with Bale's team? But then we get down to it and she's forced to make the decision because the ISB agent reveals herself and threatens her. And Cassian's like, fuck no, I got this. But by the way, we didn't really talk about the speech from Mon Mothma. It's epic. Yes. I highly encourage you to go listen to it. Genevieve O'Reilly gives an incredible performance. And I know we've gotten a lot about Mon Mothma in books and everything. But for Genevieve O'Reilly to take Mon Mothma, and I saw this on Twitter again, so I can't take credit for this, but somebody said, Mon Mothma was the many Bothans died to bring us this information, girl. And now she is the basically call Palpatine out for what he is, girl.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible transformation. And I sincerely hope that even though we make fun of Filoni, that Filoni makes the right decision and continues to bring Genevieve O'Reilly in for his post Return of the Jedi projects. So
I really do hope so. Yeah.
That's the gist of that there. I really don't think we could do it justice by summarizing it. The video is on YouTube. Go watch it.
Yeah. Very good scene. When the ISB agent reveals herself, I forgot his name. Cousin
Ensign.
to Ensign yells out, "She's a rebellion spy!" And she pulls her gun towards Ensign, and Cassian sees the opening, pops her right in the head. She falls down. And he points the gun at the other person who was genuinely probably one of Bale's guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, "And you, who are you?" He's like, "I'm a nobody. We just met. I promise. Like I don't know what's going on here." And so they walk away. We see that that Mon has taken off her robe.
Yeah.
She is only in her white dress. And commence the run around the Senate building for the rest of the episode. This is the moment where she's like, "Oh, I don't think I can do this. I can't do this. I can't do this." And Cassian says, of course, the line of the episode, "Welcome to the rebellion." During all of this, during her speech and everything else, we go back to the driver, who is still a part of the plan on the ISB side to, when she gets there, drive her into custody. And nobody knows where she is. Nobody's seen her. That was one of the big things at the beginning of this episode, is nobody's seen her. She somehow snuck into the Senate building without anybody noticing. I feel like this is also possibly some sort of deleted scene.
Yeah.
Because it is not mentioned at all. You just see her next with Bail Organa talking before her speech. But we see this driver having communications with the supervisor, and then eventually we see him listening to Mon's speech. And there is one particular moment, me and Katie actually talked about this the other day. There is what we feel is a very intentional shot, bird's eye view shot of the vehicle looking into the windshield and quite possibly a like sunroof of the vehicle, and you see the blaster at the passenger side seat with the driver during her speech. And you're like, okay, he means business. What does this mean? Well, during the running around the Senate building, we see a lot of stormtroopers. Cassian and Mon are having to like redirect from their like previously known like exit strategy in the loading dock, whatever. They're like, yeah, screw that. We have to go this other way. When they get to the outside, prior to them getting outside, the driver.
I also laughed hysterically at this part. Sorry, but like while Mon and Cassian are running around the building and you have everybody going in, and you've already had somebody tell the ISB guy, hey, like they just took off from gate 9, basically. And is like, yeah, there was shooting, like supposed rebel agents, blah, 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 blah. You still have people trying to break into her pod room.
Yeah.
In the Senate building. And they like break in and they're like, oh my gosh, she isn't here. I laughed at the inefficiency.
They are in immense chaos mode. Like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. But the driver starts walking up these giant steps. And then, oh, by the way, the Senate building, you'll appreciate this. If anybody is a fan of Doctor Who, this building was used in the episode where Capaldi and Billy.
Repeat that.
Is it Billy who was with Capaldi's doctor, right?
Yes.
That was her name, right? The episode where they're like on like the destination like vacation place.
Yes.
This is the same building. Yeah. So when they are outside, when Cassian and Mon are outside, she mentions the
driver.
The driver, and he's like, oh, what's his name? I can't remember what his name actually was.
It's Cloris or
Cloris. Yeah, Cloris sounds right. And she,
because Cassian is like, oh, is he friendly? And she's like, no, he's an ISB agent.
Yeah, he's a plant, is what she says. And so they, Cassie is like, oh, hey, we got her, we're good, we got her. And he's like, wait, but who are you? And before he can even finish his sentence, Cassian blasts him. And I want to quickly talk about this. And this is probably like, of course, this is nearing the end of the episode. And we still need to talk about the, of course, big scene with Bix. My big question to Katie, and Katie, I'm going to ask you again. The driver. We didn't see what happened to the blaster. Do you think he left it in the vehicle? Or did he have it on him?
It could be both ways. He could be trying to play hero, but he could have... I really think the only reason he left the vehicle is because he wanted to play hero and be the one to bring Mon Mothma in. So to me, I think he has the blaster. The other thing I think that this bird's eye view of the blaster is supposed to bring to us is one of the questions from Rogue One that Tony Gilroy wanted to answer is, why did Cassian shoot the informant at the beginning of Rogue One? And does he do this regularly? And I think it's kind of set there to go, okay, he does do it before Rogue One, but there's a good reason. And Cassian may not have known that. But there's a good reason for it because the driver was potentially holding a blaster and could have killed them both and destroyed everything the rebellion was trying to go for.
And for me, I I know that Cyril would have never turned into a good guy.
Yeah.
But what I do believe is the importance of Mon's words and what needed to be said for the birth of the rebellion is, I think people who heard Mon could have definitely decided right then and there, hey, the Empire is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I genuinely believe that the gun, what I told Katie is that I genuinely thought that the end of the actual episode was going to be Cassian driving off with Mon, and then the camera cutting to a close up of the blaster in the passenger seat. And I think it's still fun to debate if he would have had it or not, because that's the whole point of these types of conversations and these
Right.
episodes, and TV, of course. But I think there still would have been a lot of wait to see if the blaster was there or not.
Right, because you do have, like, in these instances, you have to make hard choices. And ultimately, it's the age-old, hey, save one life that the train could run over, or save 5 lives that the train could run over. It's the trolley problem of the situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, the last part of this episode is Bix and Cassian.
Well, okay. Sorry, that's not the last part of this episode, because Cassian is like, okay, I'm getting her off of Coruscant. Like, he gets to the safe house.
Yes. Yeah. There is the
in
part of the safe house. Yes.
Arc 2, and we're gonna have to hurry up because apparently my headphones are dying.
Yes.
He gets to the safe house. Clea is there. You see Will and his girlfriend. They have made it to Coruscant. And Clea's like, by the way, you're not taking her to Yavin. They want her to come in with a Yavin escort. It's basically like that, hey, we didn't do enough. We screwed up because there was a spy in our midst. So we're going to pretend like this never happened. And we're the ones who got her off Coruscant. Which is where we get to in Rebels. So you could literally, you skip part of the story, but you go to the Rebels episode with Mon Mothma and everything, and you get the next part of the story, guys.
Yeah.
So,
which I think is
right
pretty
there.
cool.
Yeah.
But that is also we get some dialogue with Mon and Cassian and Mon and Clea a little bit. But yeah, because we have to hurry up, let's go ahead and talk about this Bix and Cassian thing. I'm gonna say my bit, and then Katie, you can say your bit. But the entire thing is Cassian tells Bix, hey, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to live. We need to leave. There's still places that are safe and we can just live our lives, blah, blah, blah. Next thing we know, it's the next morning. Bix is gone. Bix has left a message basically explaining, hey, if you were to leave the rebellion, I would feel so bad because I think that you are a pillar of this rebellion. I think you are going to be the reason why we win. And once we do win, once everything is over, we'll find each other and we could be together. I wanted to throw my TV out the fucking window, okay? This man is tired. I know that there's Rogue One. I know that he has to be there. I understand that. But I hate this writing for the fact that, and maybe it's just the story arc of Cassian, he has not been able, because he even said it to Luthen earlier this episode, or even last episode, I can't remember. He says, I make my own decisions. I make my own decisions. And I think it was foreshadowing this moment with Bix. because this is not a decision he got to make.
No.
This man is tired, and it's not fair.
And I don't blame Cassian. I don't blame Bix either, though, because I have been in that situation where it's like, yeah, but okay, if I'm with you and I try to have this conversation with you, you're going to talk me out of it. And it is very taunting. Like, she is taunting him with a reward. Like, finish the job and I'll be here waiting. But also, like, he also doesn't know if you're alive.
I hope she feels bad. She hears back from the rebellion, hey, Cassian's dead. I hope you feel bad, Bix.
I wonder. Ooh, I'm curious now if I would love it if they chose to do like an epilogue, where Bix is told what happened.
Like, ooh, would they ever? This is interesting because this is now a publishing question. Do you think they would ever do an anniversary of From a Certain Point of View with extra stories?
I guess we'll find out because 50th anniversary is coming up.
Yeah. I think I would actually see. I don't know if I would enjoy one with Bix because, I mean, if she feels bad, then yeah, I'll be happy to read a Bix story. But yeah, I was upset. I was mad. I was genuinely upset because I've been there. I have been, and of course, not in a literal life-saving, galaxy-saving type of scenario, but in a scenario where I want to quit. Guys, I'm going to be the person that every parent hates for that person to be in your life. It's okay to quit. It is okay to quit. It is okay to give up. Why? Because just because you can't do it now does not mean you can't do it later.
Correct. And you could have you could have easily had it where they were able to leave and then like Cassian gets brought back for one more mission kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're the only one who can do this kind of thing. But
exactly.
I think they wanted to leave it open and kind of set you where his mindset is because he is a desperate man in Rogue One. And like we talked about at the beginning with Andor season 2 theories, what did I say? I said we have to get to the desperate man. And so Bix is not going to be in the final arc or she is going to die. And I think you had to cut her out somewhere. So would you have rather her left and be the survivor that she is while setting Cassian up for the man he's supposed to be? Because it feels like Bix wants to be, is like somewhat force sensitive or is like needs to believe in something because of her trauma. And so when the force healer tells her, hey, Cassian is meant for something special, she goes, oh, I have to help him be that then. Like, that is my purpose. I have to be that person for him to help him be the special.
And I genuinely think it's that. I think that she, with everything that they've gone through, she needs something to latch onto. Yeah. And that something is the hope that Cassian will bring the rebellion to success and will save the galaxy. It just sucks. I get the situation. I understand what Bix's decision was, but to not have Cassian be able to make that decision for himself is selfish. It's not fair. And again, I know where we have to be at the end of this season. I get it. I really do. It doesn't mean that I have to love everything about it.
No, you're correct.
But after this, we see the birth of our droid friend.
Yes, I loved this. It is the meet cute.
And I love how hesitant that Cassian is with this. He's like, fuck the safety harnesses. Like, I'm not going to wear these glasses. I'm not going to step back. Give me a blaster. And that's all I need. But they power him up. And he looks at Cassian. He's like, hey, I would greatly appreciate it if you stop pointing that thing at me. You know, and that's legit. Like he says those statements. The cut goes from oh shit, K2SO.
Yeah.
K2SO, and then it jumps back to Cassian, and then literally cut to credits, and that's it. And we will see everybody in the next and final arc.
Yes.
So before Katie's headphones die, of course, you can always find me on Blue Sky, on Threads, on Instagram. Follow Instagram and Threads for book stuff that guys, genuinely, freaking, oh my god, what is the book that I'm currently reading?
Red Rising, Murder Bot.
Red Rising. Quite possibly one of the greatest books I have ever read. I'm not even finished. Quite possibly one of the greatest books I have ever read. I cannot wait to get my hands on the next book. That's going to be super fun. This weekend that we are recording is the weekend of Mother's Day. So, Jake and I will not be recording tomorrow. We are going to skip this week and have a double review next week for Ghost Yuger episodes 12 and 13. So check that out the next Monday, not this Monday coming up, but next Monday. Katie, what about you?
Y'all, you can find me on most social media platforms. It's at Slice of Katie. Remember this show you can find on email. It is StarWarsAlliance@gmail.com. No A in the word is very important. Don't forget it. Also, phone number. Leave us a text or a voicemail. It is 830. Sorry, the banner was scrolling. I didn't have it pulled up. 538-4828. And with that, y'all, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching. Remember, we'll be back here next Saturday, but we will also have an episode dropping for A Valiant Vow, which is the last middle grade High Republic book. That will be on Thursday, but we will be back here live Saturday, next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the Andor Season 2 arc number 4. So with that, guys, have a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching. We'll see y'all next time. May the Force be with you. Bye.